So I've been using my new iPhone 14 Pro Max for the last couple of months, and to be completely honest, I thought the brand new changes and features that Apple added this time around would be a much bigger deal in terms of how I use my phone every day and the overall quality of life improvements. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some changes that I'm actually very happy about, and I don't regret upgrading at all, even though there are a couple of drawbacks compared to the previous model. But let's start with the good stuff first. Now, by far, the biggest change that I've been waiting for years now was the always-on display, and it's finally here. The only thing that surprised me was that despite Apple's best-in-class technique for how it works, specifically being able to go down to 1 Hz display refresh rate when using the always-on display, it still had a noticeable hit to my battery life. Because of that, I decided to create a custom focus mode that doesn't do anything but change the wallpaper to an all black wallpaper with red text in an effort to save battery life, since red LED light uses the least amount of power and voltage, leading to the most battery life savings. Now, thankfully, over the past 2 months, Apple has released some new updates that have definitely helped with battery life, and it's safe to say that it's now almost as good as it was with the 13 Pro Max, but I find myself still using this black wallpaper setup since I'm so used to it and I still really like it, especially for the contrast on the home page. But as far as quality of life improvements, it's really helped me in 2 ways. The first one is that I no longer accidentally forget about notifications that previously popped up for a few moments before the screen turned off, because now they stay there on the display, so I'm constantly reminded of them, and that helps me with my issue of forgetting to reply to notifications. Now, the second quality of life improvement is the fact that I can now swipe to wake and unlock the phone with just a single swipe, whereas previously you would have to tap first to wake it up and then swipe to unlock. Now, I know, first world problems, but it has made it so much more convenient to unlock my phone when I'm at my desk. Now, moving on from that, we've got to talk about the dynamic island, which at first seemed so cool and convenient when Apple showed it off, making it seem like it would always be useful, but it just doesn't seem like it's been that useful for me. But now that I actually think a little bit more deeply about it, it's been extremely useful in a passive sense. For example, the worst thing in the world used to be the low battery pop-up that would take up the entire display and force you to press OK, but now it simply just pops up in the island without bugging you. Same thing for the little Face ID notification, which pops up subtly at the top, as well as the ringer volume indicator. It just gives those previously annoying things a better, more subtle location, and I really like that. On top of that, the island has been extremely useful because it gives you a convenient way to quickly open up the app that's using it, like for example going directly into the music app instead of swiping through the app switcher to find it. And also when you're on a phone call, you can quickly tap on the island and go back to it if you need to quickly switch the Bluetooth source or anything else. And my personal favorite, having the timer always show the countdown of seconds at the top, has been invaluable. But other than that, there hasn't been much use to it, and I'm actually more happy about the removal of the ugly notch, especially since the new speaker grill is razor thin and hardly noticeable, which I love. And surprisingly, the speakers have gotten even louder and better across the board in terms of sound quality, and I like to use my iPhone speakers a lot when watching YouTube videos, so I enjoy that change. Now, my favorite iPhone feature is still MagSafe, because I love using it with my MagSafe wallet and especially my wireless charger in the car. But our sponsor, Basis, has this awesome new mega attached 20-watt magnetic wireless charging power bank with 10,000 milliamps of power that holds on very well and automatically charges your iPhone at up to 7.5 watts or 15 watts for Androids. It also has a nice foldable kickstand built in for watching videos, a nice LED status light indicator, and even 20-watt PD full fast charging using a cable to plug it in directly from the power bank to your iPhone. They've also got their 6-in-1 power combo 40-watt power strip, which can charge up to 6 devices, including 20-watt fast charging, 2 of them at once, since it has 2 USB-C ports, a USB-A port, and 3 power outlets right on the strip itself for plugging in anything you'd like. So it works like an extension cable, but with surge protection built in, and of course the extra 3 USB ports, which is awesome. So be sure to check out both the power strip and MagSafe battery bank using the links below. Now, one of the major downsides of the new iPhone 14 models that I didn't think would be a problem is the fact that Apple got rid of the SIM card slot, forcing people to use eSIM. Now, I myself had some issues with slow cell service for the first week of owning this phone, but over the past couple months, 2 of my family members upgraded to new iPhone 14 Pro models, and both of them had major issues with connecting their service because of a lack of the SIM card slot. And because of that, they either had to call in or walk into their service provider's office to get it working, which is of course extremely annoying. Now, as far as the actual performance of the iPhone 14 Pro, I literally haven't noticed any difference in actual speed or snappiness of this iPhone compared to the previous one, but I'm pleasantly surprised and satisfied with the big improvement in cooling, since I've rarely had the display on the 14 Pro Max dim compared to last year when it would happen on occasion, but now it rarely ever happens, mostly when I'm in direct sunlight on a very hot summer day. Now, the new camera changes are where I was a little bit disappointed, but at the same time extremely satisfied, so let me explain what I mean. In some aspects of the camera, there is a negligible difference compared to the previous model, like using the main camera in broad daylight, but with all of the other cameras, I'm seeing some improvements, especially with the ultra-wide camera at night, which used to struggle a lot. The selfie camera also now has a really nice level of detail and sharpness compared to before, so it's now nice and competitive against the competition like the S22 Ultra, which used to always destroy the iPhone for selfies. But out of everything, I take portrait mode photos the most, and I'm extremely happy about how well portraits turn out, with improvements to the blur edging and especially the color reproduction and glow during the sunset golden hour. And I really appreciate that Apple added the 2x crop mode button that also works with portraits if you want a specific zoom length, so it's very convenient. And by the way, the 2x crop mode actually works and greatly improves the quality compared to previously. But a major game-changing feature this year is the new 48 megapixel ProRAW photo feature, which gives you extremely detailed photos using the main camera, and this has already come in handy to take group photos of people with insane amounts of detail. Now, initially, I was annoyed by this feature because Apple forces you to shoot in the ProRAW format, which uses a massive amount of storage, but I discovered a shortcut that can bulk convert those files into HEIC files that barely take up any storage but retain most of the detail, so I'm gonna add a link in the description to how to create that shortcut. And finally, I'm really disappointed that Apple didn't give us 8K video recording, even though the new 48 megapixel sensor was basically built for it, so I'm sure it's coming next year, but at least the 4K recording still beats out the competition, so I guess it doesn't matter that much. And I'm so glad that cinematic mode finally supports 4K resolution, so it's finally viable and looks really good compared to portrait video on any other phone. Now, one drawback that Max mentioned in a previous video is the display glass quality being easier to scratch. And yes, I have noticed that it scratches easier, especially when I dropped it onto gravel. You could probably notice in the B-roll of this video that it is scratched up. But despite all of that, my experience has been good, and I feel like I've enjoyed more of the passive features of the new 14 Pro Max compared to the features that Apple actually focused on in their presentation. And despite the limited number of drawbacks, I'm still very happy with this upgrade and looking forward to what Apple's gonna come out with next year. So hopefully you enjoyed this 2-month review, and if you did, go ahead and click the circle above to subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.